afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Maybe you are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, where you're stuck and you want to get unstuck, whether that's in your career, your personal life, your schooling, whatever. All of our guests have something in common with you. They felt similarly at some point and they decided it was time to make a pivot. And today's guest is no exception. We have returning from our last episode, Jason Thompson. Jason Thompson is the co-founder and co-CEO of Hydrate IV Therapy and Wellness. He's also Director of Player Development for Rider University Men's Basketball and a former American professional basketball player. Basketball is something else. That's not what he did. He's way more impressive. A South Jersey native, Jason's love for basketball began at the early '86. He played at Lenape High School, where he led the team to an undefeated regular season and its first New Jersey Group 4 title in 2004. He went on to become the starting center, playing college basketball for the Rider Broncs from 2004 to 2008, where he graduated with a degree in communications, television, and radio. Jason is an Associated Press Honorable Mention All-America U.S. Basketball Writers Association District 2 Player of the Year, the National Association of Basketball Coaches All-District 3 selection, an MAAC Player of the Year, and the MAAC Defensive Player of the Year at Rider University. Thompson began his career, his 13-year pro career, in 2008 when he was selected by the Sacramento Kings as part of the NBA lottery pick. He went on to play with the Sacramento Kings for 7 seasons before playing for the Golden State Warriors. He played for some major teams. He also played for the Toronto Raptors and then played internationally. I'm probably going to butcher this, but the Shandong Golden Stars, the Sichuan Blue Whales, the Shanghai Sharks, and the Guangdong Southern Tigers of the Chinese Basketball Association, and Spain, and Turkish clubs in the EuroLeague. During his professional career, Jason established the Jason Thompson Foundation, a nonprofit organization that promotes health and wellness, some of which you heard if you watched last week's episode, and please, if you missed it, do go back and check it out. Specific to the foundation, their mission is to educate communities on the importance of leading a healthy lifestyle, and they provide resources to support this effort. His commitment to health and wellness extends well beyond his foundation work, as he actively advocates for physical activity and healthy eating habits, and per our last episode, is now co-founder and co-CEO of a hydration center. Through his foundation and personal initiatives, Jason is dedicated to making a positive impact on the lives of others and promoting a healthier future for all. He's also the board president and primary benefactor of his foundation, the Jason Thompson Foundation. I'm so excited that he is again appearing as a guest on our show. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jason with a round of applause. So here's our non-physical audience, virtual audience, hi virtual audience, round of applause. So welcome again, Jason. As you may recall from our last episode, for those who maybe didn't see or are watching this out of order, one of the first questions that we ask every guest on the show is, what did you want to be when you were growing up? So what did little Jason want to be when he was growing up?
Just, I guess like the average kid, I just wanted to play professional basketball, make it to the NBA. Also, I wanted to become an analyst. I watched at the time, Comcast Sportsnet and SportsCenter every day. So, like Stuart Scott and all those great analysts. And then I wanted to be a sports agent, kind of like Jerry Maguire or Arliss and all those great shows and movies. So obviously the rest is history with that, but have done some communication work and being an analyst and going to studios and stuff like that too. So it's been pretty fun.
Okay. So you have played for some serious teams. And there are so many young people out there that want it, and you were able to achieve it. Talent notwithstanding, because obviously you're a talented player, what do you think it was that made you different in terms of really pushing forward to achieve, the goal that so many want and yet so few really actually attain?
I just think it was my passion of being able to do it. I just know that I needed maybe the guidance for it to happen. I know how important it would be if, God forbid, if I got hurt, for me to have an education. So I was able to, make sure that my grades were up to par so I could be able to get a scholarship. Even though if I may not have enjoyed school as much, I just knew if it was going to take for me to get where I need to be, then I needed to do that. So, I was trying to go to as many camps as possible. Once I was done my homework after school, then I was going right to the YMCA and going to play pickup and all that type of stuff. I tried to play against tougher competition in different areas and throughout New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York, and the list goes on in different camps. And once I started, because everybody says, oh, he could just do that in front, around his area and dominate, but can he do that throughout the country? And once I was doing that, then I started, getting more confidence, and then, was able to, put on more muscle, which I wasn't able to do when I was younger, and just keep developing my game. And, every dream came true in June of 2008.
Yeah. And now, not that the drafts are a big deal. And you were picked by one of the top teams even at the time. How did that feel?
Yeah, I always kind of just tell people my story a little bit, but I didn't go to the draft, and I had select, family and friends at my parents' house in Mount Laurel.
Okay, so you celebrated together.
Yeah, but like I said, it's either the gift or the curse because you just don't know how the result is going to be. Everyone thinks that you may know weeks before, days before, or even the day of, but you really don't know until it's announced, to the world. So, everyone was a little nervous and throughout the time, and, the streets was quiet and all those type of things. And I just remember, my agent at the time in the kitchen of my, where I grew up in, and he was tapping me and he's like, I think we may, we're not sure. And then David Stern gets onto the podium and goes with the 12th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Jason Thompson. And, I just didn't know what I was going to do. And, your heart just stops. And you just know all the work that you put in, on the court and off the court had paid off. So I they show it on YouTube, but I hugged my brother, and then my whole family screaming and jumping, and then I go outside, and then the whole neighborhood was outside too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it was a great feeling.
So you got to celebrate with people who really matter.
Yeah, so you could tell just how everyone was probably just peeking to see what I was going to be doing because they had all the cameras and all that type of stuff, but they were really there, supportive, and with a lot of love, which was cool.
Which is really, really fantastic. And then you go on and you have this fantastic career. And, as everything changes over time, so do you.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that you started to get more into roles that actually utilized your communications degree.
Mm-hmm.
And how involved are you in still doing that today in terms of, you mentioned that you've served as an analyst, and, how is that in terms of your passion in comparison to all of the other many things that you are doing I want to use a coaching question. On a scale of 1 to 10, where does using your degree fall?
It's important. When I was with Sacramento for so long, I would go into the studios of of the news studios and stuff and do different segments and all that type of stuff. And, and then I would do a little bit more stuff in the off season and, go on podcasts and go on different shows. The NBA Players Association had a broadcasting where during the NBA finals, they pick like 6 or 7 players to be able to do different segments, kind of like this, an interviewing process, have a backdrop of the finals and act like you're interviewing someone, and just different things. And then they give you the film, and then they could check up on to see how it is. That's what I've been doing. I have obviously more time now since I'm retired. And then also too, when you're in your prime, you don't ever want to let those days go of like working out and just working on your game. So, it's tough to balance it, but it's, I definitely try to do as much as I can. And now since I have more time, then it's a little bit easier.
Now, you may have retired from professional play, but you're still very much actively involved in the basketball world. How did you find your way back to your alma mater?
Yeah, just having a great relationship with the head coach. Before last week I talked about, how I met Lynette and knowing that her brother is the head coach at Rider University. He was my assistant coach when I was there. And, just being able to give back, to the community with the practice gym and lockers and offices. And I just wanted to make sure that he's, holding the fort down and help with recruiting and stuff like that too. So it was just only fitting to when I was done playing to be able to, because even then I was training, in my practice gym, during my all season. So I was around the players. I was able to, teach them, play pickup with them, and I'm teaching them things, pro tips to also see them succeed, in college. And so, it wasn't that I didn't know any of the players. I pretty much knew all of them already. And then went on the trip, and then the rest is history with, being player development with the team.
Believe it or not, it's time for our mid-show break. And when we come back after our commercial break, I definitely want to talk to you about the fact that you found your passion in giving back and more about your foundation in particular. So please join us again after the commercial break for What the Why with Barbara Ann and this week's special guest, a solo, Jason Thompson. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television, and today's very special guest, Jason Thompson, the co-CEO of Hydrate IV Therapy and Wellness, former, or I guess I really should say retired NBA basketball player, and the founder and president of the Jason Thompson, actually founder and CEO of the Jason Thompson Foundation. And as we were coming into the commercial break, we were talking about Jason's passion to give back. So we definitely want to pick up with that. So how did you decide to move forward with starting your own foundation?
I knew at some point when I was a rookie, I wanted to give back. I wasn't sure of what I wanted to do. But in 2010, my cousin Tiffany Carroll had passed away with a certain heart disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's like one of the leading causes of that, especially in athletes. And she played basketball in Washington Township, which in the area of our business. Yeah. But yeah, so I knew that I wanted to have a focus of heart health. So the Jason Thompson Foundation started 2010, and then I've had different events, different things of teaming up with the American Heart Association and different programs and things, and it's been great. I mean, the one thing I always wanted to preach is consistency. So we were able to do stuff during the holiday season in November and December, and the Thanksgiving event. Christmas time, we do a shopping spree for less fortunate kids. This weekend, we are having our 4th annual bike event in Mount Laurel at Laurel Lakers.
Oh!
Yeah, so that will be great. And then in the summer, since I've been a pro, I've had my annual basketball camp, which I do in Riverwinds in West Deptford.
Nice.
So we have that for like 250 to 300 kids. And then when they leave the camp, after the award ceremony, we give book bags and school supplies for the upcoming school year.
That's fantastic. Wow, that is really making the difference in lives of young people and adults also. Tell us about well, let's talk about a couple things, because people who are watching right now might want to know about how they can get involved in some of these events. And you mentioned that by the time this show airs, unfortunately, the bike run in the bike ride event in Mount Laurel will have passed. But in terms of the summer camps, if someone were interested in learning more about that, how could they find out more?
Yeah, so they can go on to www.thejasonThompsonFoundation.com. Also, on my platform of Instagram or Facebook, I post it on my pages as well, which is JT the Kid, JTTHEKID. And then we have an Eventbrite, and like I said, it's only $150. For the most part, I was used to be doing it for free, but you know, some people will take advantage of not bringing their kids, knowing that it's a free camp.
Yes.
But we provide, most important thing, we provide basketballs, we provide lunches, free lunches for the kids as well too. So it's been great. A lot. My thing is like the smiles on the kids' faces, but it's just great getting the feedback from the parents. And the parents are always welcome to look at their son and daughter during the camp as well too. So we kind of make it open like that. And like I said, it's been great, and I love to see the development of how the players are, and most importantly, they're doing really well in school as well. So it's most important.
Now, what age groups can participate in the camp?
So it's 2nd grade to 12th grade.
Okay.
Boys and girls, and like I said, most of the counselors are either college players, some pros, some of my friends,
Okay.
you know, NBA type in college basketball type trainers. So and then I'm there every day as well too. So I'm not just having stuff with my name and not being there, but so I'm there.
So calling in all those favors of all those other people that could be given back.
For sure, for sure.
Awesome. So in terms of, you know, what you want to do next, I mean, you're obviously a serialpreneur. You're obviously very mission-driven and passionate about wellness and helping others. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how I'm excited of teaming up with Lynette and opening up Hydrate IV and Wellness and Therapy and Wellness. And I'm just excited, you know, for that opportunity. You know, this is not just the end of it, it's just only the beginning. You know, we hope to have it in different areas as well. We know how important it is, you know, to start and have that become successful. And like I said, it's not only just for athletes, it's for kids, young adults, elderly, and the list goes on. And we have that family type atmosphere there. And we just want people to be comfortable. And then eventually in due time, we'll be able to do mobile. So for people that do not have a car or anything like that, we'll be able to go either to their house or their job or things like that. And you know, I feel like sky's the limit for the business. I feel like it's New Jersey, we're an area where we both are from in South Jersey. And you know, it's a great opportunity, and we're looking forward to obviously the IV part and then everything else, you know, that we can offer.
Because you're not just an owner, you're a client.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a firm believer in this.
Exactly,
you
right.
mentioned it earlier in
Yes.
terms of how you've personally benefited from this.
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, you know, just with all the games, especially like with teams in AAU basketball, we have 3-4 games a day. You know, I remember my trainer saying, I'll give you an IV, and they put it up when I was in the hotel. And like I said, it's only for, you know, 30 to 45 minutes. And then you feel immediately, you know, better once it's into your system. So it's a great thing, and just being able to educate more people of this. And like I said, who knows what happened with the type of player I would have been if I would have had this when I was even younger.
That's a really
so
good point.
you never know that. So I think that I try to teach the youth nowadays too, man. You guys don't know how good you got it. You got a lot of people that are able to give you information and wiseness and things like that to be able to achieve a dream that we talked about that's very hard to achieve, but with these things, sky is the limit.
It's almost as if you read what was going to be my last question, was what's for all of the budding basketball players out there, or anyone who wants to go into a really competitive arena, and you just gave that advice. Any additional advice you'd like to give to
One
someone?
thing I always say is don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything in life. I'm from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. There's not too many people of myself, coming out and accomplishing the things that I've done. I'm very humble, but I know where I came from, and I know that it's not easy. But, with different things that's going on in life, you have a little bit more of easier things with recovery and wellness and all these different type of things, taking care of your body. People are eating cleaner now, which, back then you could just eat McDonald's and then just go play and do all these type of things, right? So there's just different things of trying to have our community and the youth to be able to be healthier. And just, like I said, God forbid anything happens to you athletically, your life is not over.
Yeah.
You have to do well in school, and try and get a great education, graduate, and sky's the limit for the youth.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to stay and do a second episode, just talking about your journey individually. Again, so that people know how to connect with you. I know you mentioned your Facebook and your Instagram, but if you could share again, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, as well as the Jason Thompson
Foundation?
Foundation?
We have an event, it's Eventbrite, and it's it will be the Jason Thompson Elite Basketball Camp. Also, you can reach out to me on JT the Kid, JTTHEKID on Instagram and Twitter. Also, Jason Thompson on Facebook. And then more information on my foundation is www.thejasonthompsonfoundation.com.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for sharing your inspiring story, as well as your partnership in both last week's episode as well as this week's episode. And regarding upcoming episodes, we're still a few weeks out, so I don't want to make any preliminary announcements about who our upcoming guests are. Other than I will say that if you enjoyed this interview, if you enjoyed the last interview with Jason and Lynette, as well as other past guests, you really don't want to miss what any of our future guests have to say about their journeys. You can also catch all of our past episodes on demand for seasons 1 and 2 on RVNTelevision.com, as well as Roku, Amazon Fire, and other platforms. You have so many viewing choices these days, so thank you very much for watching our show, and please tell a friend or a colleague about us, because we're on a mission to educate. As a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the states that don't celebrate daylight savings anymore. Make sure you remember that calculation. And then also on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Of course, you can always check us out on demand on rvntelevision.com, Roku, and the other platforms that I mentioned. And also, please remember, whether you're looking to make changes in your life or career or school or whatever, no matter how big or small, please join us again for more inspirational, informative, and enlightening conversations with guests such as Jason, who wanted to make changes or was about to face a pivot and overcame whatever fears or challenges or obstacles to find their core purpose and to live their mission.